just because I did what we should have done a long time ago.
Hey, Robert. A question. And I this jump away.
It's certainly in dispute.
So anyway, I knew you would touch the
Oh, I'm fine. You know, I never turn my office lights on.
Way back.
How's it going?
Oh, pretty good. I'm still sore on that road.
Yeah, me too.
I broke rib.
Oh, what'd you do?
Had a broken rib.
How'd you do that?
His wife got mad at him.
No, working on a fire truck. Leaning over the front end of a fire truck, pulling up on.
Forever.
One reason that we trigger on it is because it does connect here through what we'll intend to do.
Yeah, no, I she tried to try what they prescribed and she said, I don't have a problem. I'm just
Okay.
They also own a chunk of land where they got when you yeah, we tried.
That's what I was We're just going to make this piece through here.
I see.
So, hire you sometime, get ready to build that retaining wall.
He should have
Yeah.
interesting buildings.
I heard there's a good place over there.
I mean, I think
Well, I don't really know. Either reddish or gray.
How are you doing? Good, Mayor. How are you, bud? Oh, pretty good.
if you're
Whose
you need
opinion?
pasture.
Yeah.
Whose opinion?
Mine, they would be, yes. Yeah, they would be. Yeah, we don't.
Many others that want.
Right.
5 o'clock. All right. 5.
Call the special meeting to order. Please join me in the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would you please take roll?
Councilman Montoya.
Here.
Councilman Manson.
Here.
Councilman Brits. Councilman Race.
Here.
Mayor Gray.
Here. You have before you an agenda, pretty straightforward, short, sweet, and to the point. I'd entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Been moved. Do we have a second?
Second.
Simultaneous second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
First unfinished business item, number 1, Paragon Park Sub A for agreement for outside water, or outside town water and temporary electric service.
Could I make a suggestion? That Amy, I think, has put it all together and sent it out to everybody. Maybe she could give a report on all 3 of them. I think, Mr. Hilton and his lawyer, I assume they have. And so that's, and it shouldn't take Amy very long. Kind of go through, and then if you decide to approve them, I think you can approve them all together.
Okay. Fair enough. Amy, would you like to speak?
I guess. So, the agreement for.
Podium.
Well, I have too many papers.
Too many papers.
Well, So agreement for temporary utility services outside town limits. This is for them to be able to connect to the town services while they're going through the annexation process, which they have submitted the application and started. The first meeting will actually be Thursday for that with planning and zoning. And this goes through what is required for them to be able to hook up to the services and what the design criteria we're asking for are. And the designs you have there on the larger papers for water and sewer. Then the pre-annexation agreement and petition is the agreement that they are agreeing to annex into town, and they are gonna go through the process to do so, along with some stipulations as far as having the emergency services plan, making sure that they receive the temporary electric service written from REA, saying that REA is not going to supply service there, that their designs and specifications will need to be approved by the different department heads. And then the establishment of the private way, that's what will actually establish the road itself. And there'll be Paragon Way, and that is what the third one is there on the large papers with the green on it. And that'll be the roadway, the utility ways. And then I spoke with the engineers on this afternoon to have them do a couple adjustments on that way. It encompasses the roadway and the easement all in one, rather than having to do multiple documents. And depending on the water and sewer design, if that happens to change at all, then the easements might change a little bit. So it's contingent upon those, that being finalized. Did I hit everything, Doug?
Yeah, and I think you can approve it subject to, because there's a couple things Mr. Hilty and the developer needs and the owner needs to do, and that's, you have to have that letter from REA because we have territories that we have to honor. And it's my understanding that they have to do that in REA meeting because their board has to approve that. And I know Mr. Hilty has talked, or somebody has, they've indicated they don't have any issue, and I don't think they will. We have never had that issue with REA. I think as far as, they're still waiting, and this is not the Hilties or the contractors' fault, they're waiting for DEQ approval on the water and sewer. And I think that's the biggest holdup for them right now is until we get that, we can't allow them to hook up either. And so I think you can approve it with, subject to that, subject to the REA, subject to the understanding that some of those roadways and the designs might change. But I don't want to hold it up. I think the agreement calls for all of that stuff, and for them to move forward, I think they need to have some ability to say it's somewhat finalized to that extent. And then as soon as we get those, I think you can sign it. But it's subject to all those things. None of those are very difficult. I don't think just to accomplish.
What were the four things?
If I remember,
REA, DEQ.
REA, DEQ, the plans. I think the plans for the roadway might change. We need those kind of finalized, and we understand that could even switch a little bit. And then the plans for the electrical and water and sewer.
And then the town engineer has to issue the sewer permit.
Yeah,
Is there something about the department head signing them?
I think they have to look at the plans. I think Rick looks at them, don't you, Rick?
I was out there today and everything's, we got the last half of today and everything, so everything's looking good. So, but I think before they're allowed to hook up, we need to have those permits in hand, because I don't know what kind of trouble you can get into for hooking up. a line that's not permitted to hook up to it.
A lot. We had that before when we had an emergency. They didn't like a year ago. Even in an emergency, they didn't like us doing it.
Approving before.
I think you approve, subject, and authorize the mayor to sign once all those things get in. So Mr. Hilty doesn't need to come back. He knows that once he gets all of those, that they can move forward.
Yeah, sure.
So the mayor could sign them when all those things that Amy said have been accomplished, supplied to the town. Because he's been working on it, we've been working on it, and he's been at one meeting, and I think we have that meeting as soon as Amy says he's got everything that I asked him. I think the mayor just authorized the mayor to sign. And we changed one thing today. There was some, I think he did, it wasn't there 18 months in 1 year, and we just reduced it to a total of 1 year from when the agreement signed. I don't want to start that today, because some of that stuff, I mean, DEQ has their own schedule. I mean, it just is, because our understanding, everything's down there waiting for DEQ. And
We actually went from 1 year to 18 months to make everything 18 months.
everything's the same. So, and they're not gonna have a problem with that. They want it done quicker than that too. So that's what, that would be my suggestion, that if you wanna do it, you can approve them, subject to obtaining all the things that Amy indicated she wanted. And then at that point, the mayor could sign and execute the necessary agreements. Does that work for you?
Yes, and, that works for us.
Okay.
Doug, would they need to do that, considering the agreements say that they need this, 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 and this? Could they approve the agreements?
If we do that, then I want those all in place when they sign them, so you have them, everybody, and we're not arguing about anything at that time. We have those things and everything's squared. Right. Yeah. And I don't know when REA meets.
It's just, I would have to face them if he wants.
Okay. Okay,
And it may not be a meeting.
okay.
Oh, well, so you just do a motion to approve the mayor to sign the 3 agreements subject to REA approval letter, roadway easement plans, DEQ approval, town engineering approval, and permitting, and subject to the planner requirements.
Yeah, for all three.
For all 3 agreements.
You can make that motion. Is that what you made?
That's what I did.
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded. Is there further discussion? Robert, are you good with that? You're making notes and thinking over there. Are you good with everything that was said?
Yeah, I think so. I think we had one question. So the sewer permit is one, the water permit is one at the DEQ. If we obtain the water permit, can we go ahead and hook to water, or do we need to have them both? Because they're on opposite ends of the property and they both have different
I think if
timelines.
DEQ said it's okay, I think Rick is okay with
I,
it.
as long as the line's type coordinated and we get the residuals down and get the back T-test and everything, and the line good stuff, and we have that permit number, yeah.
And I think the other side is you could hook up to the sewer line if you get it first.
Sure,
I mean, that's not your most important one. I would guess it's the water line.
correct.
That's my most scary one.
Right, yeah. So
So when sewer lines.
this is just, do we know that sewer line works that goes that way?
Well, we just discussed, we cambered it,
Oh,
so
okay.
we know if it goes from point A to point B. But
Okay,
at some point, there's a drop in it, and I think that was buried by dirt that we couldn't get by, but we could see the light from the camera, and we shined a flashlight in there, so you could see it, but it's a drop manhole of some sort. That line's gonna all be replaced, so they're going.
oh,
from
you're
this
just
one to
replacing,
this
oh,
one.
okay, so you won't hook up for a while anyway on that deal, okay. So, I think that if Rick's okay, once you get that permit, I think, you still have to meet all those other conditions, because if you don't, we get to cut you off anyway. But if Rick's okay with that, and it's gonna work, I think if Rick's okay with you guys, the street cut, doing it one day and then hooking it up and doing whatever he needs, I'm okay with that. Because I know that's been a hang up for 2 or 3 weeks, hasn't it?
Well, we still need to pressure test it
So
and do the
you do that without
flushing
water.
and everything
Yeah.
else. So,
So yes, I think you can do that.
Is there any further discussion? All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion will carry.
Mayor, can I ask who made the second? Was it Tony? Okay, thank you.
Amy, has John been pushing DEQ down there?
I don't really know, cause I don't talk to John a lot. You said you have a number, but not the actual permit yet. And Dennis is really good, even if it's in town, if it's anywhere in Platte County, Dennis with DEQ is really good about copying me on it once it's issued. So, as long as, cause what's it under? Is it under you? Is it under Cindy? Is it under
It's
Paragon?
under pickup Paragon.
Okay. So when he sends it out, it just kind of depends on when he sends stuff out. Sometimes I get it within a couple of days, sometimes I get it a couple weeks later, just depends on his email schedule. So sometimes I get it from him, sometimes I get it from Anita, and I don't even know who she is. So, but,
His assistant down there, we deal with him all the time.
I don't know. Every now and then it's some random name, and I'm like, it says DEQ after it, so.
Okay.
All right, well, with no further business, we'll adjourn the meeting.